Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Country Morning Creations, and I am here with a kind of tutorial slash craft with me, whatever you want to call it. Calling this variations on a theme. I started making tags. I've made this one so far and this one as well, but I didn't want them all to be the same, and I'm making them for my 2021. This is a binder that I've already shown you how to make this, so I'll link that in the description box. But this is my binder, and I'm doing a separate tutorial while I make my 12 different tags. I've already made two that are pretty much the same. These are very simple. I've simply torn a book page in half, inked around the edge, and then added a beautiful piece. This is all from Dot's Inspiration Shop, and a tab at the top. I'm going to show you first how to make just the simple tag in and of itself. So I'm going to get you this far, and then we're going to play around with different papers, embossing, punching, all kinds of different things, die cutting, different things, just because I wanted to play today and I thought I'd invite you to play with me. The first thing I'm doing is I'm making them all using, these are brand new, these are not vintage anything, but these are brand new time cards. And because this is an office themed folio, I wanted to simply use these, plus they're a great size, and I will have lots of room to write on the back. If you saw the video on how to make the folio, you'll understand why I needed room to use the back. So what I'm doing is making these all 7 inches long. Let's cut this off right away at the 7-inch mark. Then the next thing I did, I saved these because I can type on the backs or use them for other things. You know us, we crafters never throw anything away. Then I rounded the corners using this punch. This is a We Are Memory Keepers punch. It says deco at one end and stub on the other. We want to use the deco end because I'm rounding the corners, but it makes this really cool corner piece. It's not just a rounded corner. I'm going to just punch these two. Oops, wait, this has to be pulled open for this to work properly. We pop the corners in and just chomp like that. The next thing I'm going to do is ink around the edges. I'm going more for a vintage feel in this. And so I'm going to ink around the edges on both sides. And there's lots of different ways to ink. I've seen people ink this way. I've seen people brush out. I've seen people put it, Tim Holtz actually puts it down on something and inks around the edges with it down on something. I guess I could show you that real quick. The Tim Holtz method of inking, which is probably the correct way, is to put it down like this. That's not personally my favorite. I'm too lazy to do it that way, so I just go back and ink the edges this way. I feel like I have a little bit more control when I'm inking like this. Personal thing. Inking is everybody's thing, and if you don't like inking, don't ink anything. I actually put a thing out on Instagram the other day to say, you know, hey, do you like inking? And it was interesting. I had some people say they love inking, they ink everything. Some people said, well, I do it when I remember it. And some people said, nope, they don't like it at all. All right, we've inked and distressed the card itself. And now I'm going to show you how to make this tab. I do use the We Are Memory Keepers tab, but I take the little piece out that catches everything so I can see better. And what I'm going to do, I have these leftover scraps, and I'm simply going to take one of these. They're 2 inches wide, and that's about the width you want this to be. You want it to be about 2 inches wide. I think I'm going to use this one. You want it to be about 2 inches wide, and I take it and I fold it in half, and I'll show you why. The reason I'm folding it in half is so that my tab is the same on both sides. It's not just a one-sided tab, because I just wanted it to be pretty on both sides. I find that this works better if you use your bone folder and really put that crease in it. And of course you could use a variety of tools. Ooh, that is pretty. We're going to use that side. You could, now I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, where you run make the fold first. I just fold things in half. Ain't nobody got time for that. All right, I love this with the music and all the colors. What you want to do, I'm going to pull this up a little bit, is you want to bring that up, but not inside the actual punch. We want it just below that level so it's not going to cut. And then we just punch it out, and now you'll see that you have a piece that looks like this, which works really well. Okay, I'm going to put that punch away for now and drop that off as well. Of course, we must ink everything. I find this, you can do this either way. You can leave it folded in half and ink around the edges. You can pull it open and ink around the edges. I don't think there is a particular right way or wrong way. Whatever works. I think that's one of the cool things about junk journaling and all that kind of paper crafts, is that there's so many different ways to do things. So even though I'm showing you some of the ways I do things, feel free to do something even different. I'm going to glue this tab to the top. And I played around with different ways to glue it. Because you're going to glue this middle part together, you only really need to go around the edges like this and then glue one side. You don't need glue on both sides. This glue gets stringy. Then I just fold it over and I pull it up to where I want this to be, just like that. Wipe off all the extra glue with my fingers so that my fingers get very gluey. And we have a great base now to work with. So as you saw, I've already done book pages. Love to do book pages. For this next one, I think I'm going to just grab, I want to show you some of the different kinds of papers I have. I have, like, this is coffee dyed tracing paper, which would look really cool over the whole thing. So maybe we'll come back and do that. I have scrap paper. What do you do with all that scrap paper? There's a ton of it. So I have a bunch of just coffee dyed. Actually, this is not even coffee dyed scrap paper. This is coffee dyed parchment paper, now that I think about it. Awesome. All right, this is just coffee dyed plain paper. I don't think that's the parchment. I have leftover pieces of ledger paper. Great. I have mulberry paper. Isn't that pretty? I have some scrap coffee dyed music paper. I even grabbed this. This is some Tim Holtz packaging. I thought this would be really pretty. Maybe we'll start with this. Again, I want to leave enough of the card showing that we know it's a time card, not a plain, like a very plain, just regular tag. I'm going to just start, and I'm going to rip across and then straight-ish down. I love these butterflies on this packaging. And we're going to go like that. And we can simply add that. So of course we must ink, distress ink the edges. Personally, I would have preferred it didn't make that dent, but you know what? We're going to go with it. As we say in the junk journaling community, happy accidents, right? And then I keep covering up my distress ink. I don't know that it makes a big difference in keeping it from drying out, but living in Colorado, everything dries out, especially in the winter. So that's why I keep trying to put the lids back on things and do them that way. Of course, a glue stick might work really well here. Any of your glues, whatever you prefer. There's no right answer. And so I'm going to glue this piece down. And now we can see that it's still a time card, but we've left part of that open and not put down. So then these are part of the ephemera kit that goes with this really gorgeous kit of different things. And I'm just looking for something that might work with this particular one. Any of these would be gorgeous on here. I may take something and cut it down. Maybe let's do this. And what I want to do, I think what I'm going to do, I've got some scissors. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'll be right back. I bought a set of scissors that have all these different edges on them. I really like this edging. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, which means although I've already inked this, I'm going to have to go back and re-ink it, but that's okay because this piece was just too wide, I felt, for what I wanted. We can leave it tall. And this is a decal edge pair of scissors. If you have the really cool Tim Holtz one, you can use that, whatever seems to work best for you. But I did want to make this piece a little bit more narrow. And I love the idea of having the edges deckled. I could have torn it. That would have worked too. But I didn't. I wanted to use those scissors. So now I'm going to go around and ink the edges again. I do tend to spin this around a little bit as I work my way around. That way I am not just getting the ink off of one part, I'm getting the ink off the whole thing. Now we're going to go ahead. Oh, yes, perfect. We're going to glue this. I want to make sure that those little butterflies are seen. Again, like I said, I just love butterflies and blossoms and things like that. So we're going to glue. Maybe we'll go ahead and glue this up high enough that we can still see the butterflies. I like that. So there is one done using leftover Tim Holtz packaging. Let's do one with, I want to use this mulberry paper, but I'm going to turn it over so it's not quite so bright. And there was one of these tabs I did that I thought would be perfect with this mulberry paper. And this is the tab that I was thinking of. I wanted to use this, was it, wait, hold on. Let me go through these again. Was it this one or was it, no? Nope, it was this one. All right, I thought this would be gorgeous with this mulberry paper. And you can see through here that it is done, but I don't want, again, I don't want this to be just straight. So I'm gonna grab these are the wavier scissors, which are kind of fun. And I'm just going to go around the edges here and trim them up just a little bit so that it's not quite so straight. There's the word I was looking for. And you know what? I think for fun, we're going to put this on this side. Again, inking the edges, because it goes better with this vintage office theme that I am doing. And so again, shop your stash before you go buying a lot of new things. What do you have that you've saved? Now, I will say and give you permission that you do not have to save every little scrap of paper. I do take out trash bags full of trash, probably almost on a weekly basis, of just scrap pieces. When they get too small for things, or, you know, I'm just like, nope, not going to use that, I will go ahead and throw them out. So I give you permission to throw things away. I know that is sacrilegious in the journaling community and the paper crafting community. However, I am just, you know what? We don't have to save every little scrap. Okay, I've said that. You now have permission to throw things away. All right, we're going to put this down on this side. I love this mulberry paper. I get it on Amazon, and I believe it is actually called mulberry paper, but it's got all these pieces in it, which is so awesome. I love that, love that. All right, now to pick another decorative piece to go with this. Let's do one of these tag pieces like that. Put a small tag on there. Oh, this kind of, ooh, 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 ooh. I love this idea. However, I think I'm going to punch that white part out and just use a hole punch. so that there's not this big white circle in the middle. Here we go. So I just punched out that little white circle so it's not quite so bright white in the middle. And this was already inked up. We don't need to do anything to it. Just going to go around the edges and glue this piece down now. And, ooh, maybe we'll, I'm going to put it over here so we see a little bit of that edging. So everything doesn't have to be centered. I'm definitely a person who likes things a little bit off center. I know this covered a lot of the mulberry paper, but I love that look. All right, so far we have used the Tim Holtz and the mulberry paper and the book page. Let's do something different. Let's use some music paper with this piece that actually this tab has some music on it. I guess it's just on this side. And I do love music paper. This is already torn. How awesome is that? I think I'm going to tear it down a wee bit smaller because I can. And yes, there are people who say I'm tearing this wrong, but it's whatever is comfortable on my hand. We'll put this piece here. Maybe we'll flip this over. Oh, look at that. There's writing on it. But I like this side better. Okay. I'm going to glue this down and then I'll trim the edge off the bottom, which is a trick I have seen. Oh, probably too much glue down on the bottom. I've seen people do this with card making and things. I like to do that. Again, no particularly right or wrong way to do this. So I want to pick this up so I don't glue this to my table. And then you just flip it over. Cut away any of the pieces you don't want. That gives you a nice clean edge on the bottom. Get rid of that because it has glue all over it. Press this piece down. So this has music. I think I know just what I want to use on this. I've been saving this little piece for something very special. I like this idea. Ooh! And maybe later I will come back and stamp something in that little white part. I have some really pretty stamping pieces. Maybe we ought to do that right now too real quick. I'm going to put this in the middle. And then I have some rather Victorian looking stamps that I might do. Oh, wait, I got it. Coming right back to you real quick. And I'm simply going to use my Distress ink. Yes, I know I need to clean my stuff, but I have this really pretty crown. But I didn't want to use black ink on this because everything else is browns and gold. And we're going to just stamp a crown right in the middle of this. Love it. Isn't that awesome? I love it, I love it, I love it. All right. Got that one done. We're going to keep moving on. The next one I think I want to do is something rather simple. I want to use some of this ledger paper. Again, I want it to look, you know, officey, if you will. So for this, should we tear it or decal it? Let's do this wavy decal edge. Let's try that. Ooh, you know what? Maybe we won't do anything. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lovely patina already on this. I think all I'm going to do is glue this down and we will cut off the extra and just call it good. So different ways to do different things. I love that this already has some glorious patina and it's got this curling up at the top, which I'm totally down with and like that. So again, flip it over, grab your scissors, cut off the extra. And this is really, so this is probably one of the quickest ways to put something down that's decorative. For this, I think I'm going to go with a slightly bigger piece again. Actually, maybe I'll do that. This is just a wee bit too long to fit this direction. And I think it looks really pretty done this way. So we're going to do it. All right, gluing the back real quickly, putting this down. And just laying that down right over the edge. I like for it to overlap so that it all goes together better blended. The next thing I want to do is just do some real simple stenciling. I want to stencil the card first. And I always grab a paper towel or old scrap paper, whatever you have you can use. I'm going to grab my Tim Holtz stencil right here, and because we're going to cover one side, it's probably totally fine to have this stencil stick off the side. And I like to flip it over sometimes, but we're going to go ahead and stencil this. For this, this is an Eco Tools makeup brush that I bought at Walmart. It makes stenciling super duper easy. Oh, and I just had another brilliant idea. So here's the really cool, this actually fits the whole width of this. I plan to stencil the whole thing then. We're going to go down like this, stencil the whole thing. We could just leave it like this and just put a piece over top of it. I think that's what we will probably do here. I want to get it good and stenciled all the way around. All right, there is stenciled. And so I'm going to put that there. Let's grab another piece. I think for this one I would like to put another tag on it, but I think I'm going to use this one. There we go. Put this tag kind of off center and down to one side. There we go. So there's another tag done. We are just rolling through these pretty quickly. So some of the other things I wanted to try out is I want to do embossing. I want to take this piece and emboss it. So for this, I need to grab my handy dandy Sizzix Big Shot. I'm going to clear a couple of things off of here so I have a wee bit more room. Actually, before we get out the Sizzix Big Shot, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to use this piece of parchment paper for the next piece. Oh, there we go. For this next piece, I want to show how to use these repeating pattern punches. I had someone ask me how these work, and I find that these work really, really well. But you can either start out, this actually has some guidelines on it, which I like, which show you exactly how wide this pattern is punching underneath of here. If you start at the top, but these don't all. So here is one, this is a bigger one. It's made by the Paper Studio, and for some weird reason they've taken their names off of these. This is a repeating pattern of roses as well. It does not have an indicator, but I would guess that it's about as wide as this piece here. This is, I believe We Are Memory Keepers. It is. We Are Memory Keepers. So this is a different one. And all you do is you punch it and then you line it up again. So make sure everything is lined up again and punch again. And then make sure everything is lined up again. All right, it's not quite lined up. There we go. And then a little bit more. Oop, too far. Here we go. So it gets trickier the closer you get to the end because you're now running out of places to line this up. And I probably don't even need to punch this last little bit, but I'm going to anyway. All right. So once you've got everything lined up, then you just punch. And I know this is longer than what I need. Wow, that made a mess. All right. Gonna clean this off real quick. And we're going to put this, this side down, I think. I'm going to go ahead and do this across the top again as well. Ooh, that made a pretty corner too. There we go, making sure everything is all lined up. So as long as you line it up every time, you will get it to work. And let's glue this down. So this is really pretty. This is actually, like I said, coffee dyed parchment paper. This is not just my regular 28-pound or other coffee dyed. I am purposely not putting the glue way out around the edges on this because the glue tends to seep through it. If you have a glue stick, that can tend to work a little bit better. I'm just not going to worry about it not sticking down. All right, here we go. I'm going to stick this down. Probably could have made this a little bit not quite so wide, but that's okay. And again, grab those handy dandy scissors and cut off the end. And let's pick something. We've got a couple of variety of things. I'm actually running out of things in here. This is a postcard. Let's see how wide this bingo card is. You know what? That bingo card is going to work because this is pretty plain. I'm okay with covering up a lot of the cutting. So this kit came with a whole bunch. I mean, there's a couple of add-ons. This was one of the add-ons for this kit. It came with these beautiful, beautiful pieces of ephemera that were, a lot of them were very much already office kind of, and I love the colors in all of this. Now I want to grab this piece of paper. I want to try embossing. I'm gonna grab my, hold on, let me move a couple of things here. So I'm going to grab, for the Sizzix Big Shot, this comes with this long thing, and then I have all these pads, and some are definitely in better shape than others. Although I'm not sure for embossing it really makes a big difference. So we'll just use those two. And let me just set this right here. Oops, it goes the other way. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, I think they actually sell a left-handed Big Shot. I'm not sure why, because it really doesn't make any difference. You just turn it around and use it the other way. Embossing folder. So I have this embossing folder. It's a Tim Holtz one. I'm going to use. Grab that out. And I think I've only used this once, so if I'm doing this wrong, you can let me know. But I do need this piece of paper. I'm going to just put it right in the middle, all the way up to the edge, like this. And then we put it between, you do the sandwich. We're going to do the sandwich here. You need to sandwich it. And then we just run the whole thing through. Oh, I got to get my glue out of the way. So maybe I'm doing this wrong. Let me double check one thing. Maybe we don't, for an embossing folder, put 2 on here. So this comes with all these handy dandy things. 3D. Oh, so not only do we not put the whole thing through it, we open it to this page to do it. Ooh, well that's good to know. So I'm going to stick this whole thing through here like this. And then I just need to put this through with one. Okay, that's why it wasn't working. So sometimes it helps to look at those things. All right, here we go. Well, that's not thick enough. So let's try. I don't think that's doing anything. I think we're going to find that it didn't do anything. So I'm going to just run. The fact that I can pull that through tells me that didn't work right. I'm trying to remember what I did last time. And I feel like I'm doing this wrong. So that, no, that did not do anything, as I suspected. Flip this over now. So 3D textured. And I think that's one. This would take it down. Oh, here's an embossing folder. Ah, got it. So it goes on this, but we use both of these. Here we go. Now I got it. So we're going to put this and this together. I will feed this all through here because we don't want that. Let's try this one more time. Sorry about all that. I have not done this in forever. So I just wasn't sure what I was doing. There we go. Grabbing parts of this. It sounds like it did something this time. Let's see how it came out. So pulling this out of the embossing folder. There we go. Ha! I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it. All right. Moving some stuff over here. Getting it out of the way. Ooh, pretty. So here's the thing with embossing. I'm going to flip this over. We want to just real lightly go over this so that it stands out. Actually, I'm just going to grab this piece here and grab my Distress ink. Now, can you see how it's starting to show up better? It just shows up better if you hit those high spots. And of course, if you flipped it over and did the other side, you would get a negative of the roses, which is fine. We don't need a ton. Just doing around it like this to make it stand out better. Now we can see those roses better. Then I'm going to ink the edges. Oops, I put that away too soon. Go all the way around it. Oops, you have to be really careful. What I found, like I just poked through that rose. It does make the paper more fragile. So yes, try to be very careful when you are working with embossed paper, especially coffee dyed paper that's been dried out for a while. All right, there we go. So this is really pretty. Just grabbing another one. And oh, perfect. This is going to fit perfectly on here. And I'm not going to worry about that piece of rose that I accidentally broke because I'm gluing the whole thing down. Sometimes we just have to go with the flow and things don't work out exactly as we have them planned. That is quite all right. Yeah, we're going to put it on this side, down about here. And press that down. Again, flipping it over and cutting off all the extra of that paper. Now, here's my question to you. Would you save that? I would, but a lot of people wouldn't, and that's okay. All right, so we've done embossing, and now we need to put something on here that will still allow us to see that that is embossed. I think we'll use this piece. Oh, and another thing we can do is I have these leftover scraps. I could just put another scrap here. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. But again, I'm going to decal the edges. I just think that looks better. We're going to cut all this edge off just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a real big piece. I think that will be more than enough. And I'm going to go ahead and put that all the way over there. No, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this side. Part of doing this kind of crafting is just simply making decisions. I know that for me, I'll spend hours debating something where I've always heard, give yourself 30 seconds to make a decision, move on. Make the decision, then make the decision right. That seems to work really well. All right, let's get some glue on this. It kind of looks like a postage stamp when it's deckled like this. Maybe we'll find another little piece of something that we can stick over the top of this. For right now, I think that looks fabulous. Now, one more thing I want to do. I do have this piece. I also have, I want to do some die cut. Let's do a die cut next. And we'll use this piece to die cut, which I think will look super cool. So I am going to get out my Sizzix Big Shot again. And I think I got out the die cut I wanted to use earlier, but I'm not sure where I have put that in the melee. Oh, here it is. Got it. This is a variety of different die cuts, and I plan to use this one. These are actually a lot easier because for this, I have this magnetic, there we go, blah, which then holds all of this down, which I love. So if you don't have this magnetic piece, I highly, highly recommend it. I'm going to actually flip this over. It's a little bit warped. So one of the keys to warped pieces is to keep flipping them over and over. But you can see that holds it, and now it's not going to move. So that is what I like about using something like that. Grab my Sizzix Big Shot again. So we don't need the extended multi-purpose platform because this also acts as a platform. Put this right here. We're going to run it right through here. With dies, I don't know why, I tend to like to run it all the way through and then run it back. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it kind of makes me feel better that I've actually run it through correctly and I'm not, that it's actually going to work. This is the tricky part, is getting all of these little pieces out. So sometimes they come out really easily and sometimes they don't. I'm sure that there is a tool for getting all of these out. I tend to just sit there and pick everything out. So we will get this all picked out. And if you've done this right, they should come pretty much right out anyway. I will go back and clean this later. I'm not going to worry about all this right now. And sometimes the pieces don't come out, and that's okay to leave them in. I do find, however, let me see if I can find it. I like to use my, where'd they go? I have a pair of tweezers that work really well for getting a lot of this stuff out as well. Especially when you get down to like these really small pieces, it helps with that. Let's see if I can get those out with just my fingers. Wow, I think I got most of this out with my fingers and won't need to grab my little tweezers. It does make getting some of these pieces out a little bit easier, though, I will say that much. And I have no idea where my tweezers are right now. Let's see. I think there's two more little pieces, one right there and one right there. That one looks like it's just not going to come out. All right, so we have that, and that's a die cut. Again, I want to ink around it so it stands out a little bit better. I'm going to go real carefully with this brush to see if that will help to make this stand out just a little bit better, and it doesn't quite just disappear. This is going to be tricky. I think what I'm going to do to get this to all lay down correctly, I am going to go with a glue stick to really stick this down with, instead of my glue. I'm going to use my glue. I'm going to use a glue stick. I use a variety of different glue sticks. I find I like Elmer's. And then there was another brand I also like, and I can't remember the name of that one. That's okay. Just good old craft glue. But this will stick, and it will dry without leaving. Oh, we almost forgot to ink the edges. How bad would that be? That would be horrible. Need to ink the edges. I will go back and ink the bottom once I cut the rest of this off. But we're going to go like this, stick everything down. Then I'm going to cut the bottom off, and then we will go back and ink just that edge. So now we can see that there's all these little pieces showing through. And that is using a die cut. Again, I do want another piece, but I'm not sure I want to go with a big piece. I think I'm down to only the really, really big pieces. Actually, that does not look bad. I think we'll go with that. And maybe we'll stamp something again there. We could do that. We could do that. Let me get this glued down. I know, I should stamp it first. Okay, fine, I will stamp it first. Let's grab, I'm grabbing a key stamp like this. Oh, there you are. I'm going to grab this little key stamp. I think that will look super cute in there. I have already lost my piece that has my other stamp stuck to it. I'm just making piles here. I really should show you my desk. It will give you great hope. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. This is what I was looking for. So we're going to put this key in that little spot. Although that is, this time this is black. Maybe I'll grab my black ink. Gonna grab my archival ink. We'll ink this up. And I got somebody to ask me the last time I did this, where do I get these massive big ink pads? And I picked them up at Hobby Lobby. Just, they happen to have them, so that's where I found it. And we're going to put this right here. There we go. Ooh! Okay. I know, sometimes I surprise myself and things look way better than I even think they're going to. That's where you just need to make a decision and go with it instead of spending all your time agonizing over it. Of course, I'm not preaching to you, I'm preaching to myself. Because I spent a whole week trying to think about this project before I actually decided to do anything. And there we go. And then I think the last thing I'm going to do is I love this. I have one last piece over here. So these will all be very different. I am just going to put this down. Maybe I'll make it line up right there. Perfect. All right, we're going to just use some of that tracing paper, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to just leave it plain and cover the entire piece instead of putting it just part way down the piece because it's see-through. We see enough of it. And then we'll just put something in the middle, and we, believe it or not, we have just cranked out, I believe, 10 different tags. How's that for pretty awesome? I'm going to leave this crinkly because that's part of, so it's got a wee bit of texture to it. Turn that over. We don't need to ink it because I feel like it's got stuff around it already. This would be a good one to put this on. And then we shall review the different tags. What do you think? Bingo card? We're going to go this way. And put the bingo card down. All right. Now comes the fun part. Let's see what all we have done today. And hopefully my brain will not completely go to pieces. So this one, we used coffee dyed tracing paper and the postcard. This one, we did the die cut and we stamped the key on that little tag. This one we did the embossing and deckled the edges of just a regular piece of this gorgeous paper. This one we used our little punch to punch the edges and put the bingo card on it. This one we stenciled and then put a decorative piece on it. This is getting into more of my other papers, so using up stash. This is vintage, really old from like the 1920s piece, leftover piece of ledger paper. This is a new piece of music that was coffee dyed. We put that behind there. We did the, well, this was the one I showed you. We didn't actually do this, but this is pretty easy. This is just some book page. This is using that gorgeous mulberry paper. This was using a piece of leftover Tim Holtz paper. This is packaging. And then the other one I have so far is actually this one as well. So I did 2 of these. And so those are, that's 11 total of my book. Well, they're tags, but they're going to be used to track things on the back. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments below. I think I've thrown a couple of questions out there. If you have answers, throw those also in the link below. And I hope I've inspired you to be creative today.